What's good, y'all? This is Diction. I'm here with Jim Bonus on Cross the Street.
Belushi brain any given day, go getting sushi, great brisket. On life, high octane, roll dice, weighs the range. Biochemist, literally legally insane.
People who know me are like, because since I started messing with Shrista, I was wearing basketball shorts, so I was gonna wear it now. I thought, and in my head, Shrista be like, don't wear basketball shorts no more to things. And then, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, I gotta dress a little slicker, you know?
What is good? I am here today with Diction. What is good, my friend?
What's good, man?
I brought you a present. If you watch the show enough, you know I bring everybody a present.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
30-something%. You can do with that as you will.
I like the name.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
What's it called?
Sitting Bull. Man, if you've ever done the history on that guy, an incredible figure in history. Yeah.
Native American, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, real prolific dude. Definitely.
This is what I love about Diction, by the way. I've only been with him for 30 seconds now, and I've just already learned my 13th fact.
I do be reading a lot. Yeah, thank you for the light.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Burn it on up if you want. If not, it's all right.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that for later. I got to do some driving this evening.
Yeah,
so,
do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
Definitely.
Yeah, I stole him off the road. He's out there supplying Portlanders right now with their food, so thanks for that.
No problem, man.
Nice gig today. Looks nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not bad.
Is this a regular thing?
It's going to be.
Yeah. You think Shrista would approve?
I think so.
So my first question for everybody generally is just, what's hot? What's hot with Diction? What's going on with you?
I got a new album coming out on the 1st that I've been working on for probably 3 years. I'm really excited to bring this to people, and the guest list is crazy. I got Rob Sonic of Hail Mary Mallon, Scarab of Living Legends, JFK from Grey School. Trying to think, there's a lot of cats on there. Brown Caesar, Cool Nuts, so a lot of legendary cats on there, and it's produced by Smoke. Who's also legendary in his own right, incredible producer. So it's called Best Worst Year Ever, and definitely looking forward to bringing people that on August 1st. It's a lot of time put into it, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It was recorded over one of the craziest periods of my life, and so that really reflects in the album, and it's easily like the most personal project I've ever, released up to this point.
That's saying a lot considering how much volume of music you've put out in your lifetime there, Diction.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I think I've never been probably as vulnerable on those other projects. I think they're great. And I try to address universal themes. And it can be pretty technical and analytical. And there's some personal joints, but this really reflects just a really crazy period of time in my life. So I'm excited for people to hear that, and I hope that it can help people that might be going through troubles with addiction, or if you caught up in the game, no judgment, sometimes you got to get it how we live, but that hopefully it can inspire you to be like, you can go after whatever it is you're trying to do it the right way, and even if everyone's writing you off, you can always undo that, you can always redeem yourself, you can always come back from those situations, and forgive yourself and others, and move forward towards whatever it is that you want out of this life, and give back.
Is that something that you're speaking out of heart? Like do you struggle with addiction? Or?
I did, yeah. I'm roughly about 2 years clean in October. I had about a year clean, and I had one night where I slipped, and then I quit drinking entirely after that.
Right.
So all the way clean, and during the period of making that record, I was caught up in that, and then some stuff that we'll just say definitely happened before the statute of limitations, pretty heavily. But yeah, so it's definitely a record that's personal, because I was speaking from experience I was going through at the time.
That's great that you're able to share that spread hope, I guess, for other people.
I'd really like to, man. I didn't do it the traditional route, right? I didn't go to the meetings and all that, and I think those are wonderful for people. But the first time I got to connect with some of that community really is Skylar Ray had me out over the weekend to perform at an NA talent show.
Oh, dope.
And yeah, the people were really dope there. Talilo had some kids that he's working with. And it's some of his youth programs, the name escapes me, but it was dope. He had them come up and he was doing stuff with them. and Anthony Rivera was there.
Yeah, shouts to Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cool, man. It's just inspiring. Like, he was giving me a lot of advice on like, yo, I'm making a living off this, and you could too, like, you know, don't give up sort of thing. But also just like connected to people who was like, man, yo, we've all turned it around, you know?
Yeah.
And just knowing, like, and connected with people who have shared their stories and they've seen it and got emails that they've saved people's life or this or that, and like, okay, cool, that's something to aspire to like try and give back with whatever I can out of any sort of negative thing that I turn to a positive. I would hope that I can, you know, in my own way, give back and put that out there in a way that if it can help somebody else out of a situation, then, I mean, that would be lovely, you know?
I think we're kind of fast forward a little bit, too. I think for those who don't know Diction, he's actually, I mean, how long have you been rapping here in Portland? I mean,
I technically started at 14 years old.
I'm 43, and I've known about you my entire life in Portland. So
yeah, and I'll be 39 in November.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's over 20 years for sure. I mean, as far as like actually going out and doing shows and all that, I mean, it wasn't much long after that, like 15 rocking house parties, and then...
That was when you were running with, what was the name of the group that you were with Surge and all those guys back then?
That was before that even.
Before that.
And I met Surge during that time period. I met Surge when I was about 16 years old, probably. So I had been rhyming for like a year or two, and we kind of ran into each other on the west side in this house party circuit, but I was on a label at that time.
Right.
Actually, a lot of those cats are doing different things now. They had the label, it was called Swamp Llama, and their crew was called Last Empire, but like Teddy from that now owns successful barbershops, and he went through a lot of stuff too and turned his life around, so he's an inspiration. And then one of my other mentors who was producing me at the time, Tim Crable, we used to go by Crable, he's like getting into acting now and doing pretty well with that. So yeah, I've been blessed to meet a lot of interesting people on my long journey through hip hop, and it's been really cool to see like whether or not they might be still active in doing that. And I've seen a lot of people do some incredible stuff in that. Some of them have done some other incredible things, like, you know, open a successful chain of barbershops or get into acting and start getting bigger and bigger parts and that kind of stuff. So I just love seeing anybody win, you know. It can be really hard out here for anybody, no matter what it is you're trying to do, whether it's to start a restaurant or whatever, right? Like, there's gonna be your own mind coming at you, the outside world and circumstances. A lot of us have maybe been through a lot of traumatic circumstances, loss, different things. But it's real. That's why I just love seeing it that much more. And the older I get, the more perspective I have on like seeing how people can go from the darkest spot, flip it around, and then just start winning, and then you see how that domino affect everyone around them.
Artists as well, we're all really hard on ourselves as it is.
Definitely. I guarantee you I'm gonna watch this later and be like, I shouldn't have said any of that, and my shirt was crooked or something. I'll find something, and then I'll meditate, calm down, and be like, no, it's all good. I know Jim's show's dope, and you know.
No, I appreciate you coming. You are, as far as I'm concerned, the Portland rap Yoda. I'll fight with anybody on this.
I appreciate it. That's a high compliment, man.
Yoda,
There's definitely people who've been doing it longer than me that are like, you know, the type of greats that everyone in the town looks up to. I mean, like the Cool Nutses, the Versatiles, the Old Dominions, the list goes on, right?
Yeah.
Like, if anyone I left off, like, salute to all you, the DJ Wickeds, the DJ OG1s.
Keep going, right?
We could sit here for probably 90 episodes, right? And go on that. But it's dope to meet, like, younger people, and I've had some of them recently be like, yo, like, I heard, you never know how much people have heard your stuff. And they're like, oh, I heard that and it inspired me or whatever. And I'm like, wow, you know.
Was that
like,
King Temple I saw on one of your posts a couple weeks ago? He was like, oh, I remember seeing you at a show when I was 16.
Yeah, man, I remember.
He's like 10 years younger than us, I think.
Yeah, I remember meeting him. Me and Serge were helping a homie move into some apartments on 12th Street. And he was a kid, like, I don't know how old, maybe 12, 14. And he came up and asked us. It was one of the first times we've been asked to sign one of our CDs. And we were like mind blown by that. Like, you know who we are and you want us to sign a thing. That's weird. And then years later, connected with him and seeing everything he's doing with the video work and then with his crew Lock Connected, which they're all like fam. Yeah. Collaborate with Tripolar a lot, known Lady X for years. Yeah, so it's crazy to have that experience, but I always have to be like, look, dude, there's plenty of Yodas that I'm like, quote unquote, standing on the shoulders of the giants, like that inspired me, helped me directly and indirectly, whether it was through their music or like with Old Dominion, like I interned with Snafu and learned audio engineering with him and Zeb, and like even did PA grip work on videos, and you know, there's a million other circumstances I could probably bring up where it's just like...
Old Dominion, they're doing some big things right now, too. The Boom Bap Project.
Yeah, it's dope to see them coming back.
On. Yeah.
But there's a lot of people like that where they've either shown me love and I looked up to them and that was crazy, or, you know, even in more direct ways, kind of like that, where it's like, man, yo, like, or the people I mentioned I started out with on the West Side were some of the first to get CDs in stores, even if they're doing something different now, they're still successful what they're doing. I wouldn't be able to do any of the stuff I've done or been here as long and continue to like push forward to these next levels without, you know, all that contribution. So when everyone's like, oh, you've been around a long time or this, that, I'm like, man, I appreciate that, but I'd be remiss if I don't bring up that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of what the show is all about. I'm really impressed at some of the names that have been brought up that are from an era that maybe you and I only remember now. And there's guys before us that we don't even know about that have been forgotten in Portland. And let's hope that we can keep these stories alive for the 25-year-old groups coming above, you know. Because
a lot of the people I named are still making really incredible music too. And there's plenty I could have named several. Right. So it's like all about love and I just want to make sure that anytime someone's like, man, you've been doing this a long time or this or that I'm like, first off, thank you, I appreciate that. But then secondly, like, look, there's, you know what I mean? There's definitely a historic foundation of greats that I was lucky enough to be able to draw inspiration from, or that had mentored me or helped me in different ways.
What was one of your first Portland hip hop shows that you attended? Maybe not as an artist, but as a fan.
Oh, as a fan, yo, this is actually crazy. It goes back to K-Boo, where you got your show, right? So the first show that wasn't like a big stadium show, because my first concert ever was the Beastie Boys and A Tribe Called Quest on their last tour when they broke up, A Tribe Called Quest, and that's when they dropped Intergalactic, the Beastie Boys.
2000?
Yeah, 2000. So I'm like, or no, it was before that, because it was like 98 or 99, because I was like 16 and I was grounded and I had to like talk my way out because we got MIPs for a party we threw. I mean, I've always become wild. So we were already getting in trouble or whatever, but so no, it might even, it was like 98 because I was like maybe 14. I'd only been rhyming a little time. But the first like kind of underground show that I can remember going to is I called into K-Boo, and I would do that sometimes in freestyle. When you used to be able to do that when Dina B had the show.
Dina B and Reverend Shines.
Yeah, and Reverend
Jeopardy.
And, and Kaz, got a shout out. He used to play our records and like, but I called in and it was, I believe it was Dina B's show at that point, and they had a contest to call in, and it was real late night Sundays, and I won. It's the only radio contest like that I ever won, but I won tickets to see the Alcoholics and Living Legends.
Oh, great show.
And I'm like, or no, it might have been a Souls of Mischief show before that, but it was something like that. But that stuck out as an early show I went to, or what have you, like,
was it Wild
or no,
Fun?
Definitely that was a little later, come to think of it. Like, I think one of the earliest ones that I went to, it might have been like a Living Legends and Old Dominion show at like La Luna. And I remember I was young because my homie was like from New York, was taking water bottles upstairs because they had it segregated for the all ages and sneaking me Hennessy in the water bottles. And so I'm like, that was a pretty early one because I know I couldn't drink at that point. I'd probably rocked more house parties and little shows, oddly like quite a few before I even got to go to a show. But the first one I ever went to for sure was at the Rose Garden. It was the Beastie Boys and A Tribe Called Quest, which was wild. I mean, I looked up to both those groups a lot growing up.
Wow, yeah, that would have been a wild show for someone that age, too. That's like...
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, and all my friends were grounded because we all got MIPs, and I had to, like, talk my mom into it. So it was like, because we threw this party and the cops busted it and all that. So none of my homies could come because, I don't know, it was like, thanks, moms, because I would have missed that. And then that was the last show you could have seen Tribe for another, like, 20 years after that, you know?
Wow. Well, at least you got to see it.
I know, like, yo, if my mom had been like, nah, you're not going out, regardless, I'd have never seen it.
Like, you know? Mom, we have beef to this day, Mom. Who are some of the early people that like really gave you, you know, like a helping hand in Portland, like when you first started, like the people that were like, yo, this kid's good, let's give him a shot?
I mean, it's the people I mentioned. So I grew up in Aloha and I went to Hillsborough High School, so I was on the west side, and I started rocking house parties. And actually the first time I ever got in a mic in front of people, I ended up having to battle this dude, ACK, and they had this crew called Last Empire and a label called Swamp Llama, and they were like pretty big out there, and they had CDs in the stores with Bash. Then it was mind blowing. We're like, how did they do that? And whatever, and we're reading the liner notes like, that street's like a street from my house. So we go to this party, and they had this like kind of shop behind a house, and it was just packed. The cops raided it too, and then there was like pounds of weed in the ground later if you went back to pick it up. It was wild. And ACK was a big, scary looking dude. Like, shout out to him because he ended up becoming a mentor and a good friend. But they put me on the mic, and he got it twisted up because they had like opened the mic after some of the sets before the cops rushed in. That like I was trying to battle him, and I was a lot smaller, and I'm like 15, and I would like used to hide that I rapped. I might battle my friends and put it on a tape and play it for friends, but I'd never been. And so he came at me, and I just knew you're supposed to battle back. So I battled this dude.
Oh man!
And I think they initially were like, you know, F this dude. I don't know if you curse here or not, but like F this dude, whatever, and like.
Fuck
and then they were
Diction.
like, he's a kid. And then they were like, he was dope though, he's a kid. And then I ended up getting signed onto their label. And the first album I put out was a group album with some friends called Born Disciples. And they kind of mentored us as like if they were a Wu-Tang, quote unquote, for lack of a like, you know, more convenient analogy, we would have been like the Sons of Man or the Killer Army of it or whatever, the little
side
whatever.
Yeah.
And then they would throw all these parties. And then my first solo album with them, and they did like, I mean, it's kind of an unofficial one, but that's some whole other whatever. But like I used to go to Crebo's studio all the time and record with them a lot. So right off jump, that was big. And then later on when I was more grown, like I was probably 23, 24. I've been doing things a minute, and I had that label, and when I had Surge that I started and stuff. But I interned with Snafu from Old Dominion and Zebulon Dak at their studio when it used to be on Salmon Street, to learn like audio engineering and stuff. And so I met a lot of people there, you know. Also I got a shout out Brown Caesar, AKA Santo Zine, because when me and Serge came out from the West Side, I was living downtown in the beginning, and we had the duo when we started Metro League, thought a West Side cast, we couldn't get shows. And then the homie Monkey, he introduced me to Santo, and he was like, he just put out the Gemini Collection, his first album, and you know, he's all on cable and different stuff at a buzz, whatever. So he came through and checked it out. And he got on our second album bunch, and he started booking us on shows on the East Side. And we met a ton of people, and it just from there, like, where then I started hanging out in the flats more and had hella friends there. Right. And we started being able to actually book it, like, instead of always being at parties rocking and everything. Right. So that was another point, because, I mean, man, there's been a lot of people. I'm grateful.
You remind me of someone from the era, too. I'm from the same era, of course, but... Yeah. Did you ever get to do any of the La Luna shows?
No, that was just a smidge before my time. Like the show I went to at La Luna, I was like 18, and it was Living Legends and Old Dominion and somebody else, Kirby Dominic.
Kirby
dude
Dominic,
from the Bay,
oh,
yeah.
All right, love him, yeah.
Yeah, he killed it.
Yeah.
So I went to that show, and that's the only show I went. I want to say La Luna wasn't around much longer than that show that I went. That was like in the year 2000, probably.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
what about the Paris Theater? You ever get to do anything there?
Yeah, I did more recently when it came back. But growing up, those dudes that mentored me, they would come from the West Side and pack that place out and do shows when we were kids. And then, and I got to play at like the Roseland when I was like 16 or 17 because they threw a big show there. Because they could draw a lot of people, and they had this other band on it.
It was a huge venue, too.
Yeah, I was nervous. I was really nervous and drank way too much Hennessy. It was a wild performance. I think my homie hit me in the arm really hard off the stage. He was like, you should practice more, or something like that. But that was pretty crazy. As far as the Paris, yeah, I got to do, I actually opened up for a really dope group. I did a show on the last run of it where they had Jericho Jackson. It's like Elzai and Crisis. I opened up for them there, but that was way more recent. But I remember it back in the day. I had a lot of friends who were punk rockers and stuff too, so a lot of the punk rock homies would play down there, or, you know, even some of the metal homies.
I got to give it up to that Rainbow City establishment that's been hosting a lot of very small Portland acts.
I got to go check that out. I haven't, I just started getting back to doing shows, so I haven't been out and about to see, like, post-pandemic or pre-Delta Airlines virus or whatever.
This July 30th, this Friday. That's the Swiggle Mandela release party, album release party.
Oh man, I'll have to come check that out.
Come check it out. He's gonna do it there at the.
He's really dope, man. I went to kind of before he started quote unquote popping off or whatever you want to call it, because obviously he's doing great now, which is great. But I went to the White Eagle for, I think it was one of the mic check events or something, and I remember being like, dude, this kid is crazy. Like, he was dope. Like,
have you heard
really
his
cool to see where he's going. I think I've heard, like, is JC Cordetta? Yeah, I heard a little bit of his stuff. It's really good.
Timmy Hendrix as well.
Oh, yeah, I think he was on that show.
The No Jumper. Dope. Yeah, he had a No Jumper review that went super well.
Oh, that's dope, man. I love seeing people out here, especially when they're talented like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, in closing, man, is there anything you want to say to the city of Portland? Any special tips, advice, anything from Yoda and yourself here that could maybe help these 22-year-old guys through the game the next 20 years?
Just believe in yourself, man. And the key to everything, I really believe, is in your subconscious mind. So you can Google and YouTube ways to program that for self-belief. And I truly believe that, like, God lives in all of us, or the universe, or Jane, or George, whatever you want to call it. I don't think the name matters. But just if you seek that higher part of yourself and believe in yourself, you can literally do anything. And then I'd also just like to say, like, hats off to, like, there's way too many artists right now to name that are really just killing it. On all different eras, really, from wherever age or era in the town in a way I've never seen before.
Right.
And it's incredible, so just keep doing your thing and, you know, keep definitely, like, salute and hats off to all of you. But yeah, I would say if it's one thing, just, you know, just know that higher power is within you, and if you believe in yourself, you could do whatever you want to do, you know. From
Yoda himself. All right, well, let's make our way back down to the parking lot, I guess. Any shout-outs on the way out? Let's go ahead and give them up. Who we got? I'm
going to shout out my man DJ Zone that I recorded at Sloth City.
Shouts
my
to
man.
Zone.
My homies Raised the Bridges. Shout out my man Serge Severe. We brought him up. My man Brown Caesar, Maldito, La Connecta, we brought them up. Hey. Saw people I work with. In Eugene, I got a group with ASAW and Cadillac. We called Emerald Empire, so shout out to my Emerald Empire fam. And then really just shout out to the whole town, man. I love seeing where the whole city's going musically and everything right now. It's an exciting time, so like shout out to everybody, man. It's all love.
Well, you've always been cool with me, man. You've always given me great crypto advice when I need it.
Thank you. Oh, shout out to the Fish Gang, too, man. For real.
Shout out to the Fish.
Man, everybody I know from there, and there's like 1 trillion of y'all, but like the 4 or 5 I know of y'all are really awesome. I'm sure the other like 5 trillion are really dope, too. So shout out to y'all, too.
Man, I really like having you, Diction.
Thank you. I appreciate I appreciate you having me here, brother. Yeah.
Anything I can ever do for you, just let me know.
Man, right? Same here, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the love and everything you're doing. You're out here grinding, and you know, people see it. I know it's gonna pay off huge.
Cheers, friend.
Yeah, cheers, man.